Welcome, everybody, and you can see that our agenda is there for today's meeting. I think it's the first day or the second day of summer, June 23rd. And I'm going to call for a motion, please, to adopt the agenda. Moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Lane, that we adopt the agenda. All in favor? Against? And that is carried. Thank you so much. In recognition of the City of Mount Pearl's commitment to foster respectful and collaborative relationships with Indigenous peoples in the City of Mount Pearl and beyond, we hereby acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. Mount Pearl and the broader metro region continue to be home to diverse Indigenous peoples, including First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. Council minutes are there. Any from the previous meeting, which was on June 9th. Any errors or omissions, please? Hearing and seeing no hands up. On the motion from Councillor Rice, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Locke. All in favor? And opposed? And that's carried. Small crew here today. Business arising? No proclamations, no presentations, no correspondence. Now, we're missing our corporate services lead. So the seconder is normally for corporate services is Councillor Locke for that one. So Councillor Locke, do you want to give her? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We have two items here today. The first has to do with our upcoming strategic planning sessions. And we're hoping to initiate that in the fall now. Our current strategic plan is coming to an end. So we're looking forward now to getting on with a new strategic plan. So the city has undertaken that and went out for requests for proposals in accordance with our procurement policy to get someone to help guide us in the decision-making, service delivery, and growth of the city over the coming years. 24 submissions were evaluated using the established rubric and criteria. Some of the things that are evaluated are demonstrated experience and qualifications and understanding of the municipal context, proposed methodology and work plan, innovation, and of course, cost and value for the money. And as a result of the evaluations, Municipal View was identified as the preferred proponent. So the recommendation is that we proceed with awarding municipal strategic planning services to Municipal View in the amount of $70,230 plus HST. And just some notes here, Mayor, that we budgeted for this in our recent budget. We did budget $25,000 for this. It came in over the line that we put into our budget, but based on the evaluation and also some comparative analysis, I think our neighbor Paradise recently undertook a strategic planning session that came in at around $65,000. So this recommended amount here is not outside the norm for the region. And again, I'm looking forward to this. I know our strategic plan, the last 4 years really guided us around the council table for our decision making. And I know our directors worked hard to meet and stay within the pillars of our strategic plan. So again, I'm recommending that we proceed with awarding Municipal View with the contract in this case for $70,230 plus tax, and I so move.
Moved by I'm looking at Deputy Mayor Kiley here for the second. I'm going to go to Councillor Rice for the seconder. And we have a motion on the floor. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, we adopt this contract. Aye. Those against? And moved. Councillor Fry, did you have a question? Sorry.
No, sorry. I just misunderstood. I thought I was the second.
Which one? So corporate services is Councillor Randall, second by Councillor Locke. Councillor Locke is normally seconded by Deputy Mayor Kiley. Deputy Mayor Kiley is not here, so the seconder for Deputy Mayor Kiley is normally Councillor Lane. So that's the way. That's one way of doing it. But I got his eye, so the hand was up, so I can correct that later on. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on.
All right, thank you, Mayor. The next item for us is very exciting, I might say. The memorandum of understanding for work down at the former swimming pool at 11 Stapleton Road. And as we all know, that this was the site of the previous pool that I did my lessons in and swam in all these years ago. We took it down. We demolished the building in 2024 after it became an eyesore and in consultation with the residents down there. So it's been sort of a vacant lot there. And in 2024, the city started a municipal plan amendment process to rezone the property from open space to residential high density. And this process was completed April 24th of 2026. In 2025, the city issued an expression of interest inviting proponents to submit high density development proposals for this property. And of course, that's in line with council's desire for intensification in some areas of the city. And as I said, we issued the expression of interest. Following the evaluation of the expressions of interest submitted, BTK's proposal was selected to advance planning discussions. So the sale of this parcel of land to BTK, as outlined in the EOI, offers significant advantages to our residents, such as urban renewal, increased tax revenue, smart growth, diverse housing, and rapid delivery within minimal disruption. I know we talked about this at Committee of the Whole last week. We saw some artistic rendering of these buildings. They are beautiful. They are modern. We're looking at 55 units thereabouts on the site down there. We did consult with some of the residents on Davis Place because they had some concerns about sight lines and overlooking their backyards. And in working and communicating with BDK, there were some changes made that alleviated some of the concerns of the residents there. So good news there. Also, some of the highlights, BDK is, if this proceeds, will purchase the land down there for $500,000. And then, of course, once they build in construction, once these units are in fact occupied, it's a source of revenue for the city. You're looking at close to $69,000 in municipal taxes. When you factor in, water taxation, that we're $103,000 annually in increased tax revenue. But in addition to that, it offers a range of housing that is so needed in this city. And I'm happy to say that 10% of these units will be accessible. So again, a great news here for the city in terms of what we're trying to do. So the recommendation is that council approve. Before we proceed, we must be able to approve this memorandum of understanding between the city and BDK Contracting Limited, Avalon One Residences Limited, and I so move.
It is moved by, so we're in the corporate services again. My Lord, I got to follow this all the way through, but I think I'm going to land with Councillor Lane. Is that correct?
Yes.
For the seconder, moved by Councillor Locke, seconded by Councillor Lane. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And that is it for us, Mayor. I thank you.
Okay, no more leaves. No more leaves. Public Works, and for Public Works, I'm turning to Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have 3 items on our agenda this evening. Just a little bit of background. Of course, every year when we do our budget, we talk about different expenditures that we want to do. And one of the things that is on our list this year is some new vehicles. And now, of course, the RFPs are out and we have the results back. So now it's time to award these. So the first one on our agenda is to supply and deliver 5 SUVs. Now, these are various power configurations. And direction is received from council regarding the awarding of the supply and delivery of 5 replacement SUVs. So the city received 4 application responses for the delivery of all 5. And the nice thing about this is how it works out is that we're kind of spreading it around a bit unintentionally. The tender closed on June the 9th, and this is how it all worked. Terra Nova Motors was the lowest qualified bidder for the gasoline SUVs. Capital Ford was the lowest qualified bidder for the plug-in hybrid SUVs, but they only have one plug-in hybrid SUV available. So therefore, we had to go to the second lowest bidder for that particular vehicle, which was Avalon Ford. And then we have Hickman Motors, which was the lowest qualified bidder for the electric SUVs. So it's nice to spread it around a little bit there. The Public Works Department recommends awarding a contract for 2 gasoline Chevrolet Track SUVs to Terra Nova Motors in the total amount of $74,323.68 plus tax. A contract for 1 plug-in hybrid Ford Escape to Capital Ford in the amount of $44,772 plus tax. A contract for 1 plug-in hybrid Ford Escape to Avalon Ford in the amount of $49,214 plus tax, and a contract for 1 fully electric Chevrolet Bolt to Hickman Motors in the amount of $42,959 plus tax, for a total contract amount of $211,268.68 plus tax, and I so move. This is budgeted.
It is moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Rice. I have a question of Mr. Harvey. What do these replace, Mr. Harvey?
These vehicles will replace similar vehicles, but they are themselves. There will be replacing most of the gas engines. There will be no replacement, to my knowledge right now, of any hybrids or electric vehicles.
But they're all SUVs that are going to be retired and replaced with SUVs.
A lot of the those older blue colored Jeeps, those they're more of a Jeep vehicle, not an issue. But they're SUV, but they're the Jeep, small Jeeps you see going around town.
Thank you very much, Council. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? And carried. Thanks.
Yeah, we also have a tender for, or an award for 3 pickup trucks. Direction is required from council regarding the awarding of the supply and delivery of 3 pickup trucks. So the city received 4 application responses for this one, and the tender closed on June the 11th. Avalon Ford was the lowest qualified bidder for the half-ton regular cab 4x4 and 3/4-ton crew cab 4x4 pickup trucks. So the Public Works Department recommends awarding the contract for the supply and delivery of 3 pickup trucks, including 1 half-ton regular cab for $68,300 plus tax, and 2 3/4-ton crew cabs for $77,484 each plus tax, to Avalon Ford for a total contract amount of $223,268 plus tax, which makes a total of $256,758.20, and I so move.
Thank you very much. Moved by Councillor Fry, and thank you, seconded by Councillor Rice. I'm going to ask the Director of Corporate Services, how long do you think it'll be before, because this is a procurement issue at this point, right? Even though Public Works spends the money, you guys hold on to it, and procurement's your responsibility. How long do you think it'll take before we see these vehicles as part of our street fleet?
Yeah, I would say it's going to be 18 months or so before we can expect to see those here. Would that be right? No.
It's sensitive. For these pickup trucks, I believe I think 2 are ready and 1 we'll have to wait on. So it shouldn't be too long for these trucks.
Council, any questions? Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried as well. Thank you much.
Finally, for us this evening, is just a Public Works status update to let you guys know what's been happening. In our roads division, the repairs on maintenance holes, catch basin, curbs, sidewalks, and asphalt continue. Street and sidewalk sweeping are ongoing. And you may have noticed, of course, there have been some traffic calming equipment, which is still being installed. The annual 5 weeks of free bulk garbage collection has been completed, and the next paid $25 bulk collections will be on September the 8th, the 14th, the 21st, the 28th, and then the first 2 weeks in October. So the 6 weeks starting September the 8th, and that's when the next bulk garbage will be available, but it won't be a free collection. That will be at a price of $25 per collection. Our Parks Division, the maintenance on the sports field continues. Playground inspections are ongoing. Work continues on the flower planters and landscaping beds. Commemorative bench installations and required maintenance continues. And our public works crews are busy preparing for our Canada Day celebrations, which is hard to believe it's only next week. And then we have ongoing service and maintenance. For our UTM division, they are, of course, always busy with general calls, water and sewer repairs, leak detection, water main valve servicing and exercising, lift station inspections and maintenance, catch basin and storm sewer cleaning. And in your kit, as always, is the chart showing the water levels at Babel's Big Pond as of June the 15th. And it's taken a little bit of a dip there, but still very healthy. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a fluid situation, of course, but hopefully the water holds up for the summer. Recreation. So in the absence of the deputy mayor, I got the seconder, who's Councillor Lane, and Councillor Lane's seconder is Councillor Fry. So Councillor Lane, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. The first item on the agenda for recreation is the bus services for the 2026 summer programs. The department is seeking council approval for staff to award the contract for the 2026 summer day camp transportation to the successful bidder. On June 1st, 2026, the city's procurement division issued a tender for summer day camp transportation services to 5 local transportation companies: Bercy's Taxis Inc., Dave Gullerville Transportation Services, Executive Taxi Services Limited, Parsons and Sons, and Gladney's Bus Limited. A total of 3 submissions were received, and following the evaluation, Bercy's Taxi Inc. was identified as the lowest qualified bidder with a total bid amount of $36,570, HST included. The department recommends that council approve and award the contract for the 2026 summer day camp transportation services to Bercy's Taxis Inc. in the amount of $36,570, HST included, as the lowest qualified bidder in accordance with the city's procurement process. And I so move.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Lane. Thank you. Second by Councillor Fry. Director Collins, the price of gas has been extremely high, and diesel. How did that impact the cost of doing, like, how does that 36.5 sound compared to last year?
It's actually pretty consistent with last year. It hasn't gone up very much. Yeah.
Really surprised. So Donald Trump has not had an influence on that yet. Any questions, council? I think our residents are looking forward to a nice summer program. Summer day camp registration is high, and these are some of the little cogs that make the wheel go around. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Thank you. Carried.
Okay, the next item is the contract extension for pool chemicals. The department is requesting a decision of council to offer a 1-year extension to the 2 vendors who supply pool chemicals to the city. Pool chemicals are an ongoing maintenance requirement for safe pool operations. The existing pool contracts for supply and delivery of these products expires on July 31st, 2026. The current tender package allows for the city to extend the contract by increments of 1 year for a period of up to no more than 2 years. Both vendors are receptive to this extension on the products that they supply, but due to changes in manufacturing pricing and increased transportation costs, some of the products' pricing will need to increase from the existing tender price. The evaluation of those prices increases, as well as market assessment on the cost of those products from other potential suppliers, make the suggested increases a cost-viable option for the city to extend the contract. So the department recommends that the Department of Recreation and Community Safety recommend that we extend our contract with East Chem NL Inc. and Rockwater Professional Products to give the city the necessary pool chemicals for the extension period of August 1st, 2026 to July 31st, 2027, and I so move.
It is again moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Fry. Comments, questions before we vote? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Township minded? Thank you. Carried.
Okay, the next item is the tender agreement, Spartan Athletic Products Limited, TP 26-016. The department recommends that council approve the award of tender number TP 26016 to Spartan Athletic Products Limited in the amount of $77,625 for fitness equipment maintenance, recognizing that Spartan Athletics Product Limited was the sole compliant bidder for a contract term beginning June 1st, 2026 and ending on May 31st, 2029, with the option for the city to extend the agreement for up to 2 additional one-year terms. The Recreation Department issued the tender for TP 26016, seeking qualified vendors for the supply of athletic products required to support programming and facility operations. Following the public procurement process, one bid was received by Spartan Athletic Products Limited, and it was reviewed and deemed compliant with the tender specifications and requirements. The department recommends that council approve the award of tender number TP 26016 to Spartan Athletic Products Limited in the amount of $77,625 for the term of June 1st, 2026 to May 31st, 2029, with the option to extend the contract for up to 2 one-year terms for fitness equipment maintenance. The recommendation is based on the vendor meeting all tender requirements and pricing being considered fair and reasonable within current market conditions. And I so move.
Moved again by Councillor Lane. Thank you. Second by Councillor Fry. Director Collins, I guess a 5-year contract is likely what just expired. I'm just curious. Usually it's 3 plus 2, right? 3 plus 1, 1 in terms of terms.
I can't remember
I
the
won't put you on the spot for that. My
full
question
term of
is,
the last one.
because that contract that just expired was historic, I wonder what the change in price has been because of result.
The annual price was consistent with previous years. It went up slightly, but it's pretty consistent with previous years.
So inflation so far tonight is
So
not
far,
as
so
high as I
good.
think it is. Okay, that's good. Council, do you have any questions? Yeah, good negotiator. Yeah, I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? And that's carried. But that's one of the disadvantages when you only receive one bidder too. Is there one bidder on this one as well? Just one, you see? So you don't know if you're in the market or if you're out of the market, right? Okay, back to you.
Okay, the last item on the recreation report is the event and recreation highlights. Information for the attention and consideration of council and the public. The event and recreation team has been busy creating opportunities for residents to connect, stay active, and enjoy all that our community has to offer. We're excited to share some upcoming opportunities for community engagement. The Royal Canadian Legion Branch 36 Free Fling Ceremony will take place on Wednesday, July 1st at 10:30 a.m. at the War Memorial in St. David's Park. This event honors the memory of those who have served and sacrificed for our country. All are welcome to join in the remembrance and reflection. The City of Mount Pearl's annual Multicultural Candidate Celebrations will be held on July 1st from 1 to 4 p.m. at St. David's Park, the rainy day site being Capital 4 Glacier. This event will be hosted by our 2026 Youth of the Year. Celebrations include live music for the Daughters of the Rock, Baraka Aboya and Kitchen Party. There will also be multicultural performances. The event will also include local food trucks and vendors, bouncy castles, face painting, a barbecue, carnival foods, magicians, arts and crafts, and more. The city's annual City Days event are coming up from July 17th to the 19th, with a weekend of activities and fun for the whole community. The full schedule of events is attached for reference. Events will be highlighted on all the social media platforms early July. Stay tuned. And that's it for the recreation report this evening.
Thank you very much. In the old days, we'd say stay on your feet, and because you have the next one in community safety, but we don't. We sit more than we stand now. So, Councillor Lane, back to you for community safety.
Thank you. And the one item for community safety this evening is Caring for Aging Loved Ones Community Education Series, July 2026. The Caring for Aging Loved Ones Community Education Series is a two-part initiative designed to support individuals who are currently caring for or planning to care for aging loved ones. These sessions will provide clear, practical, and easy to understand information on key topics including aging and changing care needs, navigating the healthcare system, housing options, financial planning, legal considerations, and available community supports. The series will take place on July 2nd from 6 to 8 p.m. and Thursday, July 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. This initiative aims to empower participants with the knowledge and resources needed to plan ahead, make informed decisions, and reduce the stress often associated with caregiving. Sessions will be delivered in collaboration with trusted community partners, including Seniors NL, Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services, RBC Mount Pearl Branch, and the Public Legal Information Association, ensuring participants receive accurate, reliable, and relevant information. This is a free drop-in event open to all members of the public and will take place at the Reed Community Center gym. And that's it for my report this evening.
Thank you. Councillor Locke has a question, I believe.
Thank you, Mayor. I noticed that there's two parts here to this. By the way, great initiative. I think given the aging demographic, I know in my personal circumstance, my mother just turned 82 on June 21st, and my father is 81. And they're still blessed to be living in their home, but yes, there's a change in need for their carers, and I think this is going to be invaluable. But I'm just curious here, it's a two-part session. But it says it's a drop-in event. Is this going to be like booths set up and then people can go around and speak to different agencies, similar to what was at the Admiralty House a couple of weeks back? Or is it going to be, formalized presentations?
I believe it's actually a combination of both. There's some, I think, sessions that are speaking to the whole group, but then some a bit of a trade show kind of a style where people can kind of interact one-on-one.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We're going to move over to engineering, and we have Councillor Rice.
Thanks, Your Worship. We got a capital works update here for engineering. Busy summer coming up and a lot of projects underway over the winter and now into the spring and summer and hopefully fall and get a lot of them completed. So we got information here for, we got Farrell Drive Pump House upgrade. Construction is about 53% complete on that project and work is still ongoing. Our 2025 concrete works construction is 90% complete. Work is still ongoing. Our Wyatt Boulevard upgrades construction is around 70% complete on that project and work is still ongoing up there. Sewage lift station, that's our Mount Carson Avenue. Construction is 95% complete and construction is ongoing on that one as well. Jackman Drive upgrades. I know it's been a busy time over there in that area, Jackman Drive and Barber Drive area. Construction is 30% complete. Work is ongoing on that project. Under our Water Tower Access Road, construction on that one is 75% complete and work ongoing. Our water storage tank design build, construction is about 25% complete on that project and work is ongoing. And our Glencoe Culvert Replacement project, that one is completed. I was up there last week, really nice job done on that one. It's really good, I got to say. Our T-Rail crossing in Commonwealth Avenue, our construction is about 75% complete on that one. I guess we're just waiting now for the lights and stuff to be installed and the markings on the roadway. Our 2026 asphalt crack sealing work to begin the week of June the 22nd, which is yesterday. So that's started now. Our 2026, 2028 street markings is already started. And if you go around the city, you can see they've completed a substantial amount of that area. And I know they're getting a really head start on that one. And it looks really good because now in some areas you can actually, because I mean, with the winter we've had and all the lines taken, go completely off the road. And it's hard to distinguish what lanes, especially I noticed a couple up around going up on Smallwood Drive extension area, and that's all done up there now, which is really good to see. And that one is completed for our project. And that's it for our report. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Councillor Locke has a question, and I have one then.
All right, thank you. Just a question, Councillor Rice, regarding the street markings. I know we talked about it last year. Are are we going to be installing the reflectors into the roads this year as a part of our street marking? I know last year we looked at budget and it wasn't inexpensive, but I'm just curious because we noticed them driving my wife in another municipality. And of course, she queried as to whether or not the city was going to be installing these. And I said, I will have to get back to you, but I will ask.
I can direct this one to over Director Bat if you want, but I don't think we are, but I can answer it.
Thank you for the question. It's not in the contract this year, but the direction given was if there's sufficient budget left over at the end of the year, we would try to do as many as possible. But as of now, there isn't a plan this year to install those reflective. No.
Because I did notice, and I think I talked with you about this, Director, that in neighboring municipalities, it's almost like they had a big circular gouging wheel that cuts a curved impression into it. And I'm just wondering, is there other technology where you could just sort of cut out the square and tamp it down? But that's for another day. But at least I can let the most important resident in the city of Mount Pearl know that we won't be using reflectors this year in the city of Mount Pearl. Thank you for that.
No, I don't know if that's really the will, because the director says they'd like to do it, subject to getting the original contract done. I know the same question was asked last year. I'd have to ask our clerical legislative assistant or officer or Ms. Pico. But I believe we said last year that we weren't going to do it, but we were going to do it this year. But if it's not in the contract, obviously it's not in the contract. But, you know, I think we can commit to doing it, subject to budget funds. And Director, I think that's where we're going with this. When do you know that the contract is done, and when do you know at what time of the year would you be making or available, or would the decision be available?
Yeah, so it will be subject to budget funding. Right now, we were just going to play out the current contract to see what was remaining, if any, at the end of the contract, maybe do a few. If there is additional budget, we could add that to the scope. To Councillor Locke's point, there is specific equipment required to do this work. We'd have to coordinate with the successful contractor to make sure they have that equipment on hand as well before committing to installing them this year.
Okay, I think what we should do, so can you, I'm gonna look at the CAO and the director, say, look, can you commit to providing council with an estimate of how we would go about doing it? Bring it back here for approval, because I think what you're saying is that we at this end of the table, we approve the budgets, and until you get a budget, it's hard for you to make any plans. So, but we need a proposal, much like we would see during the budget year. The problem is, if we wait till the budget cycle, then we're into 27. So if we're going to do a little bit in 26, or you need to buy some equipment so we can do it every year, maybe we need to have staff come back with a proposal and keep to keep it a little warm. CAO?
Mayor, my understanding is that there was a $100,000 request put in as part of budget for the application of this reflective material, and it wasn't approved as part of the budget process. However, the director and I will take back and bring a proposal to council.
Yeah, because like anything, it's the hundreds of thousands of dollars have to be considered during the budget process, but the tens of thousands of dollars halfway through the year, maybe there's an opportunity. That's all I'm saying. No pressure, but it'd be nice to have that conversation before we had to do the same thing next June. All right, thanks. Thing in planning and development, hey? Oh, Councillor Fry, I apologize. I never asked mine, believe it or not, but you go right ahead, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to, I know that this is a busy time for construction, and I know it's a necessary evil, and I know that residents appreciate us doing these upgrades, but that also comes with some frustration. And I've had a number of people reach out over the last couple of weeks regarding the construction up on Wyatt Boulevard and the condition of Mount Carson. For those people living in the area, this is a bit of a challenge for them going through the construction zones, as well as the potholes and things on Mount Carson. So I'm just wondering what what is the status of that and what can residents expect over the coming weeks, weeks ahead? Like I know the people I've spoke with, they're understanding, they're just a little frustrated and they're just wanting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's hopefully not the train coming in the other direction.
Director Bett, I understand the substrate is supposed to be going down. It's imminent, but there's rain in the forecast. But to Councillor Fry's point, that's when you start to see the finish line, is when they start putting down the Class A, the Class B, and what do you call it, Councillor Fry? The quarter minus.
Oh, that's a good question. And yes, I can appreciate, residents being concerned about the tear up, and it is convenient having the construction ongoing. As of today, the latest update I have is that all the water mains, the sewer, and the sanitary is installed. The next step is preparing the subgrade, the Class A, Class B, the roads, the sidewalks. So we can expect that to start moving as early as next week with completion. I expect, we haven't got a final schedule yet from the contractor, but I expect it around the end of July, final completion. As of today, traffic is open in 2 directions on Wyatt. Although it is 1 lane, it is open in 2 directions. There was an update. There is a sanitary infiltration at the intersection of Holden. So there is going to be a little bit of a tear up there tomorrow and maybe over the next couple of days. So there's going to be a bit of a delay and disruption there as well. But looking in the next week, there's going to be free flowing traffic in both directions.
Thank you for that, because I know when people have the information, they're a little bit, they know what to expect. You don't have the surprises. And the good news is that once this is done, it's done for how many years?
Hopefully we're all retired. But I would expect, 25 to 50 years at least.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks so much.
All right, moving right along. I'm going to move over to new business and Councillor Rice related to the appointment of an acting deputy mayor.
Thank you, Worship. So as everybody is aware, we have our deputy mayor who is off now on medical leave from May the 27th to September the 30th. So we council met and we had discussion on appointing of acting deputy mayor for this while the deputy mayor is off. So I just want to read out some information here, some background on this one and current status. So pursuant to resolution number 26-05-108, Council granted Deputy Mayor Kiley a medical leave absence from May the 27th to September the 30th, 2026. And pursuant to section 28-2 of the Mount Pearl Act, in the absence of incapacity of the mayor, the deputy mayor has the duties and shall exercise the powers of the mayor. With the absence of the deputy mayor, council has determined that it is in the best interest of the council and the city to appoint an acting deputy mayor for the period of the leave of absence that's stated. So I, Mark Rice, Councillor Mark Rice, nominate Councillor Jim Locke as acting deputy mayor, and I nominate him to accept, I'll just pass the nomination along. So I'm nominating him.
This nomination, is there a seconder for the motion? It's a motion, right?
Motion, yeah.
Yeah, it's a motion. There's nobody here from corporate services. Councillor Locke is corporate services and Councillor Antle. If you like. It's been seconded. I'm going to just call the question to see how the vote goes. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Carried.
Okay.
And just, I will inform the deputy mayor that we're doing that in her absence. Okay, good stuff. Thank you, Councillor Rice. Thank you, Councillor Lane. Now, we're going to do a quick roundtable. Councillor Fry, you were first last time, according to the note. Councillor Locke, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just have one. Saturday, we had the National Indigenous Peoples Day in Canada, and I just want to commend our staff for the event that was arranged outside here. It was very well attended. And speaking with, Sean and Noah from First Light, they're so appreciative of the support that the city, the collaboration, working together. They feel at home in the city of Mount Pearl. And they were just so grateful. So I just wanted to commend our staff, I know our senior management here, but also the staff members as well. It was a great event, and I think, we are along the road of reconciliation. There's obviously much work to be done, but we're heading in the right direction. So I just wanted to extend a sincere congratulations and thank you to the great work that our staff is doing in that vein. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, next, Councillor Rice, please.
Thank you, Worship. Just two items for me, and they're pretty well linked together. So the first one is I want to just make a comment, I guess, and with the summer coming now and the kids out of school, we got a lot of parks around the city. And with those parks comes a lot of children and kids and stuff playing in those parks. And I had 2 calls this week, and I had actually 3 messages on my Messenger account through my Facebook last week about the first one is regarding our parks, I guess our playgrounds and parks and stuff like that. We have parents that are attending or going to those parks in the evenings or Saturdays or weekends, and we got some bullying happening there. So we got some younger, I guess, teenage kids, and even younger than that are there, and they stay there for extended amount of periods. But when the parent and child goes there, they feel that they're getting bullied a bit. So I had a call from a resident, and I told the resident, they told me actually that they called municipal enforcement, and I said, well, that's the right process. And I said, you're doing the right thing by getting, calling council or reporting it. So I gave them the numbers that they had to call, and I'm glad that the reporting is done. So this is what we have to do. We got to report stuff like this happening. So I just want to, all the residents that are going to be, our families that be going out to the parks in the summer, they got to report stuff like this happening. So we can, we can act on it and do something about it. The second part of this one is our trailways. We got, I had a message and a call from a resident last week that are on our trailways every single day when it's sunny. And the e-bikes that are on the trails right now are causing havoc, and they're causing a lot of confusion, and the people are just getting so frustrated with the people that are, there's to the point now, what one resident said to me, she called me and she said, we actually had to jump off the trail, me and 2 more of my friends, so we wouldn't get ran over. I mean, I don't I know we have markings on our trailways that indicate you're supposed to have a bell on your bike, and you're supposed to notify the people. If you're on an e-bike or a bike or any scooter, you're supposed to notify the people that are oncoming, or if you're coming up behind them, especially, you're supposed to notify them. So I don't know what we can do as a city. I know we got our people on the trailways now. We got 12 people, Councillor Collins. Just how many people we got hired for the summer on our trailways?
There's 10 park patrol just started. So they're out and about. E-bikes are a challenge, not just on the trails, but around municipalities now. The technology is kind of, I'll say it this way, our regulations, not just in Mount Pearl, but across the province and other places, the regulations haven't kept up with the technology. That e-bikes, many of them look like motorbikes now, even though they're e-bikes. The biggest thing is the speeds on the trails, and they still need to maintain the appropriate speeds. And whether you're an e-bike or a motorbike or a pedal bike or people walking, you need to just do proper speeds is the biggest thing. And just be courteous.
Yeah, so I just continue with this one. I know it's a provincial issue, the Highways Act, because it comes under the Highways Act, but when you got somebody who's using our trails as much as the residents here in Mount Pearl, it's very concerning to me as a councillor, and I'm sure all the councillors around the table here in the mayor. And one other thing, I was driving down Commonwealth Avenue last Thursday, and there was a young guy stopped at the light on Smallwood Drive and Commonwealth Avenue on the bike. No, it's not a motorized bike, that street legal bike, but it was one of those e-bikes. And when the light turned green, he popped the wheelie and he went on the bike from Smallwood Drive to McDonald's on the back wheel. So, this is concerning. And me and my wife were in the truck and she said, this is crazy. And I said, yeah. So I just brought it here tonight so everybody know about it, but it is happening. And so as a city, we got to deal with it somehow. So I just wanted to pass that along. So I do hear the residents, we do hear what they're saying, and it's a big concern actually for all of us. So thank you.
Yeah, over to you, Councillor Fry then.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Rice. I was actually driving up Ruth Avenue yesterday and there was a young boy on an e-bike in front of me, driving on the road, keeping up with traffic, going that speed. And all I could think about was, you know, when we learn to drive, we got to do driver training and learn the rules of the road and all of the safety requirements. Same thing with a motorcycle. You know, if you want to have a motorcycle license, you have to do the same. So to have these young kids using our roadways, keeping up with, because of the technology of the bikes, the speeds are the same as traffic, 50 kilometers an hour, 40 kilometers an hour. They don't have the rules of the road. They don't have the training, the safety training. Like this is just a disaster waiting to happen. But I can tell you that this was something that we talked about in the Northeast Avalon Joint Council, because this is not just here in Mount Pearl. It's as the director said, it's all over. And as a matter of fact, in the last Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador last year, there was a resolution brought forward to further look into regulations for e-bikes. So I think we're getting there. It's going to happen. We're just in the in-between stage right now. So in the meantime, that's a really good point that you make, because when you have these young people on the road and these bikes and on the trails, I mean, trails are dangerous anyway. When you're walking and there's an e-bike coming, that's dangerous. It's of concern, but it's also concern when they're on the roads. And I think that's a good point for motorists to just keep an eye out, because they may not know the rules. No, thanks for bringing that up.
Well, the Highway Traffic Act interplays with our regulations. So I think, for example, you're not allowed to drive a motorcycle or a dirt bike, if I could use those terms, or maybe a mini bike, because we ban them, unlike other municipalities. So the thought is we can ban e-bikes, but the Highway Traffic Act also creates definitions. So I think 50cc motor for motorized vehicle is sort of where that kicks in. So we don't ban anything that's less than 50 cc's, because it used to be, according to a gasoline motor definition, it's related to how fast the machine can go. So I'm just wondering, I'm looking at Director Collins, I'm just wondering, we could actually have a look at banning e-bikes in the city. The question then would be, how would we define the ban? Which size motors? I'm hearing a lot of e-bikes now with throttles. But if we don't allow a dirt bike, say on the trailway, I'll just use that as a limited example, why would we allow an e-bike? I can see a regular pedal bike, but e-bikes are quieter. They sneak up on you, and you can get away with more with an e-bike, because you have to wait for the damage to be done. With a motorcycle, you can hear long in advance. You know something's happening in the trails. Like, our trails are really quiet. We rarely hear a dirt bike. We rarely hear a motorcycle. And when something like that happens, somebody reports it right away. How do we move on without lockstep at this moment with the provincial government, which may take time? Director Collins.
It's a challenge to start off. As a city, with our extensive 60 plus kilometers of trails, and us promoting active transportation and multimodal transportation up to this point, it's something the city should look at, whether or not we continue that way. Do we move towards banning? If that is the case, then we also need to look at our integrated transportation study. So there's a lot of factors that come into play if we are going to change, but we certainly should be having that discussion and what we can do. Part of the banning of motorized vehicles, like I said, is noise, but it's also speeds. There is a way you can control speeds. E-bikes are much quieter, but there's inherent things with that as well, as many people have experienced. They can kind of sneak up on you, if I could use that term, that it's more of a surprise when all of a sudden there's people speeding by. So it's something that we're not the only ones dealing with, but we certainly need to have those discussions. And back to the roadways, it's a challenge that when you're looking at speeding and ticketing, And with cars and trucks, you're ticketing a registered vehicle. When you're talking about kids on motorized or on e-scooters or e-bikes, they're not registered. They're minors. So there's a lot of inherent challenges when it comes to what we do. We're
And
not
that-
the only ones dealing with it, but
And
it's a
that's why a
challenge.
ban sometimes works better than chasing around with a radar gun. But two recent developments that I'm aware of is the large number, like 1,500 watts in some of the bikes, and also the throttles. So there's people out there now that are driving e-bikes. It evolved from, and Councilor Rice would notice, you're assisting, right, with your pedaling. You're pedaling along and you want a little assist from the motor. Now they're becoming autonomous electric vehicles in effect, at great speeds. The bikes are lightweight and people really enjoy them, but I just think they enjoy them sometimes too much at other people's expense. So I guess I'm asking council, should we ask staff to at least consider what the framework was? Why would we wait years for the provincial government? And I don't really know what their timeline is, but we put the M&L resolution in place last fall. We met with the Justice Minister only, I think, two months ago. It's on their radar, but even if they tomorrow said the following bikes are need to be registered for the roadway, why wouldn't this council at least consider a ban on some of our trails, like we do with dirt bikes? Thoughts, Councillor Lane, and then Councillor Fry.
Thank you, because this was actually the item I was going to discuss during my roundtable as well, because, I mean, I've gotten numerous messages, phone calls, also regarding e-bikes and the safety of them. And I think part of it is we have to put the accountability back at the people who are buying these bikes for the youth. If you're going to buy your child something that can go 30 to 50 kilometers an hour, then I do feel that it's your responsibility to teach them to use it responsibly and safely. I mean, they're going around, they're not wearing helmets, sometimes 2 or 3 on a bike or a scooter at the same time. And it's, we're hearing more and more in the news of youth who are getting in serious accidents because of this. So I think, first of all, me as a parent, would I buy my, 11, 12, 13-year-old a motorized vehicle that can go up to 50 kilometers an hour that's being used in our streets? Absolutely not. But if you're going to make that decision, you need to teach your child how to use it properly. And if you find that they're not using properly, maybe you need to take it away. Maybe they're not responsible to handle the responsibility of driving a vehicle that can go at that speed, because we're hearing it more and more and more. And for me, the biggest concern is safety for them and for the other people who could potentially be struck by the motorized bike or scooter. It's definitely a major safety concern. So not only does accountability need to be put on the people who are purchasing these bikes for the youth, but I think the accountability definitely needs to go back to our provincial government. They need to hear all the issues that municipalities are having with these, and they need to make a call on what they can do to enforce it. Or maybe is there going to be an age limit that you have to own one, or such as the mayor said, registering it. But it's definitely a major issue, and it's only a matter of time before we hear more people getting seriously hurt because they're being used improperly. I think that's something that we can all relate on, and I know we could talk about it all night. So I am going to end it there. But again, it's just, we really need to start being more diligent about teaching youth how to properly use, and I'm saying youth because I would hope that a responsible adult would know how to use it properly. But again, I'm sure there's people misusing it of all ages. But for me in particular, the messages I've got, it's been about youth who are misusing these motorized vehicles.
Thank you, Councillor Fry.
Sadly, a complaint that I had this week was about an adult male riding an e-bike very fast down the trails. We have our trails, and I know we want to promote multimodal transportation, but we also want to promote recreation in our city, and we want our residents to get out and enjoy our trails. And if these e-bikes are keeping residents who are nervous about going on the trails from getting out and walking around, then we've got a problem. So unfortunately, it's always a few that make it bad for everybody. And we can't tar everybody with the same brush, because there are some people who are responsible and some people who rely on the e-bikes with the assisted pedaling to be able to get out and enjoy. But I think it's definitely something that we need to look at. I know other municipalities are looking at it. There's a neighboring municipality who has they've posted that there are no motorized vehicles, including motorized e-bikes, permitted on their trails. So that's something that we need to look at. We've got to look out for our residents, all residents, and it's certainly worth the discussion.
Yeah, and that's enforceable. we can't enforce the Highway Traffic Act. No traffic act exists in terms of coverage, but we can enforce a ban. Councillor Locke, nip it in the bud.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. All great conversations. As always, it's a multi-pronged approach here. My understanding is our regulations for our trails, right, there are no motorized vehicles permitted on our trails right now, correct? It doesn't specify gas-powered motorized vehicles. It says no motorized vehicles on our trails. It's a tough one because, again, you see some people that are using their e-bikes responsibly. If they're going up an incline, they just want to kick in the motor to help them with their pedaling. But now they've morphed into bikes. They're just e-bikes. They're like e-motorcycles with no pedals on them. They should be banned. I agree with you, Mayor. I think the city's got to make a statement. We got to put it in our friends at the shoreline here in the Pearl, on our social media, that they are banned on our trails. Set it up, because right now, they don't know whether they're banned. But if we come out forcefully and say, no, they're banned on the trails, we got to make that statement. And maybe we need an education program. I was out biking today, and I still got my City of Mount Pearl bill that we gave out 10 years ago. And, unfortunately, I'm not a speedster. I'm not able to pedal at rapid speeds, but a little bring on the bill when it came up 50 people, and they'd all move to the side and at least make eye contact. So we got to educate the people of these e-bikes, but I still think it's a statement if we ban these and make it known in the media that they are banned in the City of Mount Pearl. Enforcement, Director Collins said that, it's going to be a challenge, it always is, but at least we can enforce it if it's our regulations, not the Highway Traffic Act, but in our regulations on our trailway. So I fully support that we investigate further putting in a full-out ban on these on our trails. Thank you, Mayor.
Started this. I think it was you, Councillor Rice. Good conversation, everybody. Everybody had a little shot at it. I'm going to look at the CAO and perhaps ask that we look at what a ban in the interim could look like, and then how we could also then intermingle or go hand in hand with any changes that could be, hopefully, are coming to the Highway Traffic Act. But I'll say it again. These machines have become much more powerful. They're no longer just to assist your pedaling. And some of them have throttles, which allow you, even though you're thinking 1,500 watts to do you 40 kilometers an hour, the throttle for a limited time will get you up at very, very high speeds, the roadway speeds, as a matter of fact. Councillor Rice, anything else?
That's
Right.
it for me, just 2 items. I'll go.
Thank you. Councillor Lane.
Yes, one of my items was already discussed, so I'm just going to keep it short and simple and just extend a congratulations to the graduates of O'Donnell High School and Mount Pearl Senior High. It's definitely a big accomplishment. I know O'Donnell is having their graduation ceremony this evening. I'm not sure on the date of Mount Pearl Senior Highs, but I'm sure, is it Thursday? So that's coming up in the next couple of days. So a huge congratulations to all of our graduates and best wishes in your next adventure, whatever that may be. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fry.
Just one thing for me this evening. I wanted to give everyone an update on our most recent Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee meeting. The committee met last Thursday, and it was a really good meeting. There were a couple of things that were discussed I think are probably relevant because, to your point, Councillor Rice, summer is when youth escalating negative behavior. They're out of school, they're bored, they're looking for things to do. And that's when vandalism happens. And one of the discussions that was held at this committee is how can we intervene with these youth before this happens? So that was an interesting conversation. Of course, that's not an easy answer, but it is certainly something that's being discussed. And not just for troubled youth, but they're doing a lot of work when it comes to trying to get youth engaged in community. And I'll give you an example. One of the things that they're looking at doing now with the Citizens Crime Prevention Committee, they're looking at acknowledging youth when they do something good, instead of always negative consequences for bad behavior. If you see something that's good, to recognize that and give them some recognition. So they're having a program where they have coupons, like a coupon for Wendy's or, something like that. And they're going to, law enforcement officers, RNC, schools, summer camp workers, counselors, youth workers, counselors, different people in the community. When you see something and you see youth doing something good, give them a coupon. and tell them why you're giving it to them, letting them know. Don't just say, oh, here, take this. Give them a coupon and say, you know, I noticed when you picked up that piece of garbage and put it in the garbage recycling bin there, what, you know, to reinforce positive behavior. And I thought that was a really interesting concept, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that might go from there. Also, something I wanted to bring to your attention is that we must be doing something right with our Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee and Plan, because Recreation Newfoundland and Labrador are interested. They're interested in having our own constable, Danielle Gravette, who is our municipal enforcement officer and the spearhead of this committee, to speak at one of their conferences about community well-being and safety. So when Recreation Newfoundland and Labrador pays attention to it, and they want her to talk about the community safety and well-being initiatives that we're doing, and mirroring that with recreation, so that just reinforces that we're doing something right. And there are a number of things here that we talked about. Something else we talked about is Safer Communities and Neighborhoods Act, and that's what the province is looking at now. There are currently 6 provinces that have it, and that's where neighbors can make calls on properties such as trap houses and to expand the legislation there. So there are a number of things. The VITRA training, Violence Threat Risk Assessment, we offered one of those there a few months back, and I believe Councillor Lane attended, and it was very, very positive. And the whole point of that is de-escalating threats before they happen. So getting people involved to know and to recognize these things before they escalate to violence. And there's going to be another session that's going to be offered in the near future on that. So anyway, there are a number of things here I could go on. I think they're doing amazing work, and I just wanted to keep you all posted on what we're doing there. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to end on a positive note and a negative note. But the negative note is actually a little bit of both. But I understand Bell Canada, Director Batt's going to give us a little bit more information, are hoping to have the concrete poured related to the work on Commonwealth Avenue done by or the week of July 27th. And they probably got to let it cure for 30 days. So we might be my eye roll wasn't for you, Director. It was more for Bell. So that sounds like a positive thing, and I'm going to get you to speak to it in a little bit more detail, but I think we're getting near the end game. But Council, I've also talked to the CAO. I'm drafting a letter, which I'll seek your approval for. I think Bell owes us. I think after all they've put us through and our residents in that neighborhood in terms of the roadway being shut down since December of 2025, here we are now in July, and I'm trying to make it sound like it's going to go to August, and it likely will. I think we should ask them for a contribution for one of our parks. So with your approval, I can have that drafted, but I'll bring it back to council, and we'll send the letter to the CEO of Bell, and then we can table it here at a public meeting. Will that work for everybody? Okay. Director, what do you think? Are we in the end game?
I'm optimistic we're in the end game. Hot off the press tonight, I've got an update from Bell. Next week, they're going to be starting construction on this chamber, going to be saw cutting and busting off the roof of the manhole. And then until the week of July 27th, they're going to be doing repairs with formwork, rebar, cribbing, pours. And the week of July 27th is when they're planning to open back up to full lane opening. Yep. So a lot of work to happen between now and then, but feeling optimistic that this time we're going to see it through.
All right, so that's kind of there's a bit of negative and a bit of positive there, but I appreciate that update, Director, and we stay tuned for more. But on a positive note, school's out for summer. We have a movie. You talk about Elio, is that the name of it? Is that how you pronounce it? Elio? Elio, I think. So say 9 o'clock, maybe a little bit later. It's dusk on Thursday at St. David's Park. And hopefully the rain, Director, will the rain be stopped by then?
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. See, Director Dalamont's not here, right? So we got to direct the weather questions over to Director Collins, right? Anyway, folks, stay tuned for that. Director, when is there's no rainy day indoor location. Is there a backup plan for another date for that movie?
We would reschedule at a later date.
All right. So, long meeting, longer than we expected. Good to see you all. I hope everybody has a great summer. I think we have a special meeting of council, public meeting next a week from tonight. That's to deal with our financial statements. And then I believe the next meeting publicly is July 7th. That sound about right? Sorry, July 21st as the cycle begins. So we'll see you next Tuesday if we don't see you sooner. And on that note, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Rice and Councillor Fry, we are adjourned.